Some things in life become predictable. Lawns will always need mowing. Coffee somehow tastes richer when the sun is just creeping over the horizon. And peace, real, uninterrupted peace, is a rare kind of luxury. The kind you hope to finally enjoy after decades of hard work. After 20 years in the military, I believed I had finally secured that luxury when I settled into Willowbrook Estates. A quiet, manicured community. The type of place where neighbors exchange courteous waves, where weekends revolve around tending roses or reading the morning paper on the porch. It looked like the neighborhoods from my childhood, safe, steady, familiar. Or so I thought. Because life has a habit of reminding you that calm can be shattered in a single moment. The metallic scrape of a key twisting in a lock broke through the stillness of a peaceful afternoon. Karen Whitmore, president of the Willowbrook Estates HOA, glanced around nervously before slipping a master key into my front door. With a soft pop, the lock released. She pushed the door open, her sensible heels tapping across my hardwood floor as she walked in without permission. That's when she heard it. A deep, rumbling growl rolled out from the shadows of my living room. Two amber eyes glowed from the darkness, fixed directly on her. Before she could even comprehend the danger, 90 pounds of trained German Shepherd muscle lunged forward, not attacking, but issuing a warning so fierce it could freeze anyone's blood. Let me back up and explain how we reached this point. My name is Marcus Chen, and I moved into Willowbrook Estate 6 months ago, hoping for quiet. After 20 years in the military, I brought with me my most loyal partner, Shadow, a retired military K-9 who had served 3 tours in Afghanistan right beside me. We chose this gated community for its promise of tranquility and safety. What I didn't anticipate was Karen Whitmore, a woman who clutched her HOA authority with the zeal of a medieval monarch ruling over peasants. The trouble began within days. I was unpacking boxes when a barrage of loud knocking rattled my front door. There stood Karen, clipboard in hand, her expression already locked in disapproval. She informed me in a sharp, nasally tone that my moving truck had been parked in the driveway for an excessive duration, violating HOA Code 7.3, subsection B. I explained that I was still unloading, but she was already scribbling a warning dot in the weeks that followed. The citations appeared like falling leaves. My mailbox, she claimed, was 3/4 of an inch too tall. The beige color I chose for my front door was, in her words, aggressively neutral. My small collection of garden gnomes left to me by my grandmother was labeled unauthorized lawn ornamentation, but Shadow became her favorite obsession, despite being impeccably disciplined and never barking without reason. Karen insisted he violated reasonable pet size restrictions. I showed her the bylaws, clearly stating theta dogs under 100 pounds were allowed. She sniffed and declared that German Shepherds were inherently threatening breeds. She began taking photos through the gaps in my fence, documenting every second Shadow spent outside. Her harassment grew bolder, showing up at odd hours, measuring my lawn with a ruler, even photographing my curtains through the windows. Everything boiled over when a notice appeared under my door, written in her distinctive purple ink. It claimed the HOA would be performing mandatory interior inspections for code compliance. According to her, they needed to check for illegal modifications, unauthorized paint colors, and unapproved fixtures. The letter ended with a veiled threat. Non-compliance could result in steep fines and possible legal action. I knew this was far beyond any legitimate HOA authority, but Karen had bullied residents for so long that she no longer recognized boundaries. My neighbor, Janet Morrison, confirmed exactly that. She told me quietly that Karen had been escalating her behavior, especially toward newcomers. Several residents had moved out rather than confront her. Then Janet revealed something even worse. Karen had bragged at the last HOA meeting about having a master key for emergencies. Her tone had made several board members uneasy, but no one dared challenge her. That Thursday I left to run errands in town. Shadow was asleep in the living room. My state-of-the-art security system was armed. I had installed cameras after Karen's photo-taking episodes crossed the line. As I drove off, I noticed Karen's silver sedan parked down the street. I assumed she was bothering some other poor neighbor, I couldn't have been more wrong. Footage from my security system later revealed everything in perfect detail. 10 minutes after I left, Karen walked up my driveway, clutching her clipboard and a ring of keys. She knocked once, waited maybe 5 seconds, then pulled out the master key. The microphone caught her muttering, "Time to catch him red-handed." The door opened easily. She stepped inside like the house belonged to her, photographing everything: my kitchen, my living room, even the inside of my coat closet. She was so absorbed in hunting for violations that she didn't notice Shadow rising silently from his bed. His training kicked in. He didn't attack. He didn't need to. He simply recognized what she was, an intruder. He stepped between her and the exit, his massive frame blocking her only way out. The growl vibrating from his chest was all the warning she would ever get that she had made a very serious mistake. Karen froze. Her phone slipped from trembling fingers and clattered to the floor. She pressed her back to the wall, eyes blown wide with terror as Shadow held his ground, never once breaking eye contact. She tried to inch toward the door, but Shadow mirrored every tiny movement, corralling her without laying a paw on her. His training was flawless. He understood the line between deterrence and attack, and he executed the perfect, non-violent hold. Her breathing grew rapid and shallow. She whispered, over and over, "Please. Nice doggy," her voice fracturing with fear. 15 long minutes passed with her trapped against the hallway wall while Shadow stood watch like a living statue. When I pulled into the driveway and saw Karen's sedan still parked down the street, a cold knot formed in my gut. I ran inside and found her exactly as the cameras had shown, pressed against the wall, tears streaking down her face while Shadow maintained his defensive post. The instant he heard my voice, everything changed. His stance softened, his tail wagged, and he trotted over to greet me, the fierce guardian reverting in a heartbeat to my devoted companion. Karen crumpled to the floor, babbling about HOA inspections and the authority she claimed to possess. I dialed 911 with a steady, professional tone and reported a break-in. Karen's eyes widened as she stammered that she had every right to be there, but I didn't leave the situation to her words. I called animal control not to accuse Shadow, but to have an official document stating the dog had acted out of defense and had shown remarkable restraint. While we waited for the authorities, I pulled up the security footage on my tablet and let Karen watch herself use the key to enter my home without permission. Police arrived quickly, with animal control close behind. Officer Rodriguez watched the footage and shook his head in disbelief. He told Karen plainly that HOA power did not include the right to enter private residences without consent or a court order. What she had done was breaking and entering, regardless of how she obtained the key. The animal control officer reviewed Shadow's behavior and praised his discipline, noting he had shown textbook restraint defending his home. Karen frantically tried to spin a story about receiving complaints of illegal activity in my house, but when pressed, she offered no specifics. Officer Rodriguez informed her she was under arrest for criminal trespass and breaking and entering. As the handcuffs clicked shut, she screamed about her status and influence in the community, but the officers remained unmoved. News of Karen's arrest spread through Willowbrook Estates like wildfire. Within hours, my doorbell wouldn't stop ringing. Neighbors came by to share their own horror stories of Karen's power trips. Tom Phillips from Oak Street told me she'd once entered his garage to photograph his workshop, declaring his tools a noise violation. Sarah Kim said Karen used the master key to enter her home while she was at work and left citation notices on the kitchen counter. The accounts piled up, each stranger and stranger than the last. Faithvining G. An emergency HOA meeting was called. The clubhouse was overflowing with residents demanding answers. How long had Karen been entering homes? Why did she have a master key and unrestricted access? Freed from her intimidation, the other board members admitted they'd suspected she overstepped, but none had dared act. The vote to remove her from the board was unanimous. The criminal case advanced rapidly. Karen's lawyer argued she was performing her duties as HOA president, but the prosecutor presented a mountain of evidence: security footage of unauthorized entries, testimony from multiple residents, and patterns of harassment and fabricated violations. Witnesses painted a portrait of someone intoxicated by petty authority, convinced she was untouchable. At trial, more unsettling details surfaced. Karen kept detailed files on residents' personal information she had no right to possess, and had photographed the interiors of at least a dozen homes without consent. The prosecution revealed she'd used her role to threaten homeowners, even attempting to place liens on properties over manufactured violations. The verdict was decisive. Karen was convicted on multiple counts: breaking and entering, criminal trespass, and harassment. The sentence was stern: 18 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and an order to pay restitution to affected homeowners. She was permanently banned from serving on any HOA board, and barred from coming within 500 feet of Willowbrook Estates. But the small victories mattered. At the next HOA meeting, Shadow received an official commendation for exemplary neighborhood security. They held a modest ceremony. He was given a special collar tag and a year's supply of gourmet treats. The new board, led by Janet Morrison, immediately changed the locks on all common areas and put strict key control policies into place. The last anyone saw of Karen was at sentencing. When the judge read the penalties: 18 months behind bars and $50,000 in fines and restitution, her face turned ashen. She swayed, gripping the defendant's table, whispering, "Gee, no, no, no." The courtroom sketch artist sketched her expression perfectly. A woman who finally understood that HOA authority has limits and that breaking into someone's home carries real consequences. If stories where the underdog fights back and justice wins resonate with you, hit like and subscribe. There are plenty more stories like this, and you won't want to miss the next one, so turn on notifications and be first in line when a new story drops.